Hello and welcome to the LinkedIn for Networking training from Deluxe Network Program. I'm Karen Clark and I'm your social media trainer. Today we're going to be talking about LinkedIn, which is known for being a powerful networking platform. For your DNP business, it can be great to connect with community members, service providers, and people who might be also looking for an income opportunity. Just about everybody I ask says that they have a LinkedIn, but they don't quite know what to do with it. So in this training, you're going to learn some tips and tricks for maximizing your presence on LinkedIn and connecting to the right people. Let me show you around. So right now you're looking at my personal profile. This is where most of your activity is going to take place. In fact, the things that you post on your personal profile show up on this main homepage, which is like a news feed very similar to Facebook. People and companies that you're connected to post different updates and they show up in this news feed, which you can then interact with. Another thing you might see on LinkedIn is a company page. The Deluxe Network program has its own corporate company page, but they're really not designed for individual entrepreneurs. So you're not likely to need one of those. And honestly, since the magic is in your personal one-on-one connections with people, it's not really necessary anyway. However, using the company page is something you can do when you're looking for content to post to your personal profile. So if you scroll down a little bit, you'll see different posts that the company has created. It's very easy for you to click the word share and then post to your network. Add your own caption to bring the expertise back to yourself and then click post. In general, as with all social media, you want to make it public so that people can find you and so that their connections see when they like and comment on the post. But let's go back to the personal profile. Now, I'm not an official representative, but just pretend like I've set this up to be one. You'll notice that in a lot of places there's these little blue pencils. These are different things that you can edit. And I'll tell you what, just like with all the social media sites, when they're public, the words matter and they're Googleable and can help you be found by people who are looking for what you do, looking for an income opportunity, or looking to network in their local communities. So any chance you have, you want to make sure that you edit the copy or the words to include your location words, service provider categories, and information about the business. So let's start with this top section. Just click the little blue pencil on this top section here, and you'll see that you can edit your picture. If you don't already have a nice, clear, professional headshot, I recommend that you do that. LinkedIn is not the place where you're going to include the picture with you holding your dog or something with, an outdoor background that's not very easy to see. So make sure your name is filled out, your real name, and then your professional headline is something that appears under your name when you interact with people and groups on LinkedIn. So by default, it will just list whatever your most recent job is, but you can edit this to be anything. Clearly identify yourself as an independent representative for Deluxe Network Program in your local area. So that might be a good place to put that in the professional headline. Now, if you haven't already added your DNP business as a position, you can click here to add that now. So click on Add a New Position, enter your title. You can use the company page here. And then, of course, your location is important. Let them know when you started the business, at the very least the year, although you don't have to pinpoint it to the month. And then click on I currently work here. Now, under the description, you can include the same description that you added for your Facebook page. And then if you wanted to, you could also link to any documents such as PDFs, photos, videos, or presentations. You can always go back to add this later. Now, I like to keep this button on No, Don't Update My Network. That way, while I'm working on my page and making it better, a little story doesn't go out to my network. However, once in a while when you edit your profile, it is nice to update your network, especially when you've uploaded a new document or something. That way it draws attention to your profile and they'll go back and check you out. But let's go ahead and click Save on this one. Now, other than your new position, you're going to want to make sure everything else is filled out. This summary section is what shows up at the very, very top of your page. And this is really where you can add the most information about what you do and why you do it. Take some time to compose it, maybe in a Word document or something like that. I like to add these little symbols or emojis, which I just copied from my phone, just to kind of draw attention to it and add a little bit more detail. Again, in this section for the summary, you can also add media. So if you do have a video or photos or additional information you want to add, you can add it there and it'll show up right under the summary. Once you're done getting your intro updated the way you want it, go ahead and click Save. Now just know that you can edit these things anytime you like. So don't worry if it's not perfect right now. You can always go back and change it. Now, just to kind of give you an idea of what's in here, you'll see your recent activity at the top, then your experience here, different jobs that you might have had, education, volunteer information, all of those things on this page. And we used to look at LinkedIn as kind of like your online resume, but it's actually much more interactive now. So let me show you around a little bit more. So looking at the very, very top, you'll see the search box. The search box is actually very powerful on LinkedIn, and it's a great way to meet people in your local area. You can simply search on something like massage therapist Sonoma County and find all the people that might be in that industry. So I'm going to click on this and it will bring me to the search results page. And then notice at the very top, you can sort by people who have those words in their profile, jobs, posts about that, companies about that, groups about that, or schools about that. So let's click on companies. So here are a couple of companies that I might want to follow. Now, what that does is it exposes you a little bit to that company's administrator. But I think what's more effective is connecting to the people. So let's go back over to this tab. So I can scroll through here and look at basic descriptions, or I can click over to their profile to read even more about them. So just as an example, here's someone named Taylor who's a massage therapy coordinator at the local university. That might be a good connection for me to have. So let's click and look at her profile. I might want to connect with her on LinkedIn and see how we can maybe network together. So I'd click on the connect, and I always recommend you click on add a note to explain why you're connecting to them. So it might be something like this. Hi Taylor, I found your profile on LinkedIn and I want to let you know I have a new service here in Sonoma County that allows you and your clients to list their massage therapy businesses on a local business directory. Is this something you might be interested in? I'd love to connect. Now you're limited in characters, so it has to be kind of short and sweet. And then you would click on send invitation. Then at that point, once she connects with you, you can have a further conversation through private messaging and tell her a little bit more about the opportunity to get listed on the DNP website. So let's go back to the search results. Now while I'm looking here, I see there's a chiropractor in my area. I can do the same thing again and again. Now, one thing you'll notice is I have this button called Hunter. That is not built into LinkedIn. It's an add-on that I've gotten for the Chrome browser. So if you look up Chrome extensions and the word Hunter, you can find this, and it adds a button to your LinkedIn where you can actually get the person's email address. Now, I do not recommend that you spam people if you don't have permission to contact them, but sometimes it can really help to send a personal email. All right, so we've talked about the search. Let's go ahead and look at the My Network. The My Network button will show you people who have requested to connect with you. And you'll see most of the time there will be an additional message added to the request, and you'll see this See More link. So I'm going to click on that and I can read that person's message, and then I can go visit their profile by clicking on their name and decide if I want to connect with them. You'll also see suggestions for people you might know, and sometimes those work out well also. Let's skip over the jobs. We probably are not that interested. We might also want to look at the messaging option. So this is where you can add private messages, or when somebody has reached out to you, you can carry on the conversation a little bit further. There was a study I read recently that said more people open LinkedIn messages than they open their emails. So it can be a really powerful tool. Now let's click on notifications. In the notifications, you get different things that LinkedIn thinks is important to you to notice. So for example, my friend Kimberly, it's her birthday. This is a kind of like a prompt for me to connect with her and to build that relationship a little bit more by saying happy birthday. I can also see who's liked my recent posts, maybe people who've gotten new jobs, work anniversaries, and things like that. So whenever you see the little red flag, it's a good idea to check your notifications, especially if there's something you need to reply to. Then under your profile picture, this is how you can get to your settings, the help center, language, most of us are English speaking, or any job postings. Let's go ahead and click on settings. It's important to pay attention to these settings because most of the time you're going to want your information to be public. However, you might want to limit your phone numbers or your email addresses just to people who you're already connected to. So click through any of these and adjust them to your liking. And you can click on privacy to do the same thing. I like to edit this public profile so I can see what my profile looks like to people who might not already be connected with me. And remember, we talked about how you want to have things public that are about your business. So over here on the right side where it says customize your public profile, you can check different things that you want to be available to people who might not already be connected to you. Personally, I check everything. I really like for people to be able to get information if they're curious about me versus always having to connect with me to see my information. Also, these things show up in the search engines, which of course is great. Now, a couple things here I do change. So who can see my connections? That means who can see who I am connected to. I like to keep this at only me because that way my friends aren't going in and trying to friend all of my friends, and there might not be a logical connection for them to do that. I also turn off this viewers of this profile also viewed because what it'll do is when somebody visits your profile, it recommends other people like you to look at, and I don't want to send my people to the competition. All right, and this sharing profile edits was that button I talked about where it'll create a story when you update things. I turn that off. Profile viewing options, I say full profile. That means when I go and look at somebody else's profile, they can see my information. Sometimes I do like to make this private, but I found that when I'm viewing people's profiles, since they can see that you viewed it, they will often reach out to you. So in general, I keep that open. The rest of these you can read through and decide for yourself. The next most important setting is communications because by default, LinkedIn sends you a bunch of emails. So anytime something is happening among your network or things that are happening within your groups and all of that, I personally know that I check on my LinkedIn every single day, so I don't need to also receive an email since I'll get those red flag notifications. But that's up to you. So go ahead and check your settings and decide which emails you want to receive. All right, back to the navigation. Over here we have the work grid. This is just kind of an easier way for you to get to different things on LinkedIn. Now let's click on the home to get to the newsfeed just so I can show you around a little bit there before we close. You'll see you have a small summary over here about who is looking at your profile or how many people have looked at your posts. This is good to kind of track to see how successful you're being on LinkedIn. And if it's somebody that you might think is a good connection, you can choose to connect to them. Then, like I mentioned in another training video, with the social media CPR, it's a good idea to comment on other people's posts in the newsfeed, especially if there's somebody that you want to notice you or build a stronger relationship with. Now on LinkedIn, you can only operate as your personal profile, so it will always be from your name, not your business name, but that's okay. In most cases, as you're commenting and interacting with people, others in their network will see who you are and get curious and click over to your profile. Now over here on the right side, you'll get suggestions for who to follow. And LinkedIn uses an algorithm based on different words that you've said or people you're connected to suggest who to connect to. But one more thing I forgot to mention, up over under the work, one area I do use a lot is the groups. So there's a button over here called groups. Click on that. Groups on LinkedIn are probably one of the most active areas. And you can often find a group that is dedicated just to professionals in your local area. So I like to click on this Discover. And often there are suggestions that are just right for me. If not, you can go back to the LinkedIn search and find groups like this. I'll type in my location and then click search. And then sort by groups. So now I can see there's a group called Sonoma County Professional Network, Sonoma County Go Local Cooperative, Sonoma County Best, and so on. So I can visit these groups and decide to join them, and you'll see what happens within the group are discussion conversations. People are asking questions or posting links and news about your local area, and this would certainly be a great place for you to participate. Again, just like any social media, it's not to spam and to be overtly selling your program or your opportunity, but to really serve and add to the conversation and add some value. People will notice you and then click over to your information and connect with you further. All right, I hope this has given you a lot more sense of LinkedIn and how you can use it for your business. Don't forget to add some good keywords and copy about your business and what you do. This has been Karen Clark with LinkedIn for Networking Training. Bye-bye.